cloud. So good morning, or good afternoon, depending on what time you're viewing this, and welcome to this Shibashi Qigong session. As always, we start by bringing our ankles together to relax our knees. Just let your arms hang from your sides. We bring our left arm, palm up, our right arm, palm down. Join them together, and we bow with lowered eyes in trust and in friendship. And now we're going to carefully come into a hip width. I'm just going to step back a little bit so you can see. So the most important thing I have to say at the moment is just make sure that you take responsibility for yourself, for your own body. Nothing we do should hurt, should cause you any pain. If it does, please stop straight away. If it's because you're making the movements too big or too fast, then have to think about that. And if you're going to continue, either make the movements smaller or slow them down. Whatever you need to do, you can stop at any time. You don't need to feel that you have to keep going and you have to force your way through the session. So that's the most important thing to say now. And before we start the Shibashi set itself, I'm going to go over the three stances, the three body positions that we use. And the first of these is our hip width stance. Now, hip width, ideally, our feet are parallel with each other. And although we call it a hip width, you might want to think of it as a shoulder width, certainly not a wide stance like this. It's more an idea where we have the feet, the inside of the foot, the knees, the bit of the hip bones which juts out at the front, or you can feel at the front, all nicely in line. So once we've achieved that, or we're trying to achieve that, next thing we do is soften our knees. Now, often we push the knees back to lock our legs, and then we're using the knee as a sort of a structural joint. We really want the knee to be relaxed so that if somebody pressed down on your shoulders, your knees would soften and bend a little further. So you might need to just gently push your knees backwards and then just feel what it's like just to release them slightly and let the knee fall forward. It's important to say that we're not bending them. We're not standing like this all the time, bending our knees. We're just allowing them to relax. So the next thing we're going to try and do, and again, it's not always possible for everybody. If you imagine the bottom part of your spine, a tailbone, if you like, we're just going to try and curl that underneath a little. And you'll probably find as you do that, your knees actually do bend a little. They will move with your tailbone, and we'll come to that later. And then we're just going to use the muscles around the middle to lift the weight of your upper body up off your hips. These muscles are there to hold the upper body in the right place. You might only be able to hold that for 2 or 3 seconds, but the more you try, the more you practice this, the easier it becomes, the stronger your muscles get. And then the final part, or final part of our posture anyway, is to imagine that the crown of your head, not the top of your head, but the crown of your head at the back is being lifted up, your chin is being dropped, and in fact it just then ends up parallel with the floor. And as that happens, as your chin is lifted, or the top of your head is lifted, your shoulders sort of automatically drop into the right place. If your shoulders are normally hunched forward, as you lift this part of the body upwards, your shoulders are able to just sit where they should do. And then we relax. So that's the ideal. If you can't manage all that, then just make sure you're comfortable. Now, while we're in this stance, we are going to breathe. And when we breathe, we move slightly. So as we breathe in, that breath helps lift the upper body, and we also gently push into the feet. And then as we breathe out, we're just going to allow the knees to relax slightly more. It's a relax, not a bend. It's more of a and we breathe in when you're ready, and breathe out when you're ready. So there's always this gentle up and down movement going on as we're appearing to be standing still. And it does work the muscles in your legs. So if you're not used to doing it, you'll find tomorrow that your legs are complaining to you. Or you may find that. Now, I mentioned before about this idea of curling your lower back. And in fact, if you can do that, as you breathe out, if you let that little curl of the lower back happen, you'll find that your knees move with that, and that's as much as they need to do. Rather than consciously thinking about letting them soften, as we breathe out, if we curl the lower back a little, the knees will automatically soften and automatically move. So while we've found this stance, we're just going to do an exercise called turning from the waist, where we're going to keep the whole of the lower body from the feet to the hips completely still. And imagine the top part of the body is going to be separated. We're going to use the muscles around our middle to turn the navel, turn your belly button from one side to the other. And it is a tiny movement. So we want our arms to be completely relaxed. And when we're going to start slowly, just turning that navel a tiny amount from one side to the other. If you've not done this before, it may seem to be a completely impossible exercise. But the more you practice, the more flexible you become, the stronger your muscles become, the easier the movement is. So try and keep your hips still. Now you can do this sitting or standing, and in fact, if you do this sitting, you'll find that the chair, unless you lean against the back of the chair will hold your hips still, and you can start to get the feel. So as we settle into this, you might find your arms start moving, because the movements of the spine at the bottom is very small, but as it gets up into your chest, into your shoulders, it will get bigger. And if your arms are relaxed, they may well start moving with it. So while we're doing this, again, just a reminder that nothing should hurt, and please stop if you need to do. Don't force yourself to continue. We're going to do all the movements within our own comfort zone, our own body's capacity today. And that means that your movements may be smaller than mine, they may be bigger than mine, they may be faster, they may be slower, doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if the movements aren't exactly the same as mine. So long as they don't hurt, you are simply doing an alternative version. From time to time, I might talk about breathing, and although the breathing is very important to begin with, we need to become familiar with the movements. So if you need to breathe differently to what I'm talking about, then do so. Don't hold your breath to try and match what I'm doing. Remember, you can stop at any time. Sit down if you need to do. You can do some of the movements, just doing the arm movements while you sit. And if you sort of go along with what I've been saying with this, hopefully you'll be able to relax and enjoy the session. So we're going to slowly and carefully unwind to a stop. Never stop suddenly from doing this particular exercise. So when you're ready, we're going to look at the next two stances or body positions that we use. And the first one is very much a variation of the hip width stance, sometimes call it bear stance. And this is often known as a side to side stance, which is not a good name for it. A better name is in the Lee family form, we call it the leopard stance. And all this is our hip width stance, but we take the weight fractionally to one side. So we feel it over 1 foot, slightly more than the other. And we do the same thing. We let both knees relax the same amount. And the best way of doing that is to just do this little tuck, curl of the lower back. And then we come back up again into the center. Try that to the other side. Just a little curl of the lower back. and back up again, back into the center. If you can't curl your lower back, don't worry, just go fractionally off center and then just allow both knees to relax. Try and do it the same amount. If we go slightly off center and just let one knee relax, what happens, as you can see here, I'm leaning. Come back into the center, fractionally off center, both knees relax. Just do one more to the other side if you can, just to get the feel of it. It's not a lean, it's not a real one side to the other, which is why side to side is not a good name. It's staying in the middle almost. We're going down rather than to the side. So that's the leopard stance or the side to side stance. Let me do some of the movements in. And the final stance that we use is our, call it forward and backward. And if you speak the family form, we might call it dragon and duck. So the forward stance, we're going to stay in this hip width and we bring one foot, it doesn't matter which one foot forward, nice comfortable walking pace, put the heel down, and the first thing we do is make sure that the toes are pointing straight ahead rather than pointing outwards or pointing inwards. And when we've done that, we let the foot come flat onto the floor. So at the moment, we're sort of in the center. I turn sideways, you can probably see this. And now we're going to allow the front knee to move just slightly over the foot. And we stop when we feel the weight nice and even, not on the ball of the foot or the toes or the heel of the foot. It's nicely across the foot. So we're really going down rather than forward. And we come back up again into the center. Now the backward stance, just imagine there's a table or a stool behind you, or perhaps a low wall. And we're just going to perch on that. So we'll just let the back knee soften a little bit as we perch on the table. It's not a big movement at all. And back up again when you're ready. So we'll just try another one forward. Let the front knee just come over the foot. Now, just as in the hip width stance and the leopard stance, the best way of achieving that knee moving forward is in fact to just allow the curl of the lower back to do the work for you. So we come back up again into the center, and the same going backwards. Take the weight fractionally backwards, curl the lower back under, and you'll find the back knee softens. So we'll change legs to do the same thing on the other leg, because often my left leg is longer than my right. It does feel different. So same idea, make sure the front foot is pointing forward. And when you're ready, either by curling your lower back or just by allowing the knee to move forward, we stop when the weight feels nice and comfortable. Back up again into the center, and then this tiny movement back, perching on the table, and then back up again. Just do a couple more. If you find that going backwards is difficult, then you might just want to stay in the middle rather than trying to go any further back. What we don't want to do is to really force the movement back and end up twisting. It's not a very big movement at all. It's just whatever's comfortable for you, and that's it. So those are the only three stances, three body positions we're going to use during the set. We can do lots of different things with our arms, but each movement will be done in one of those positions. So at this point, if anybody's got any questions or anything you want to say about these, if you can just do this so I can see you. Looking at the screen there, nobody has any questions, which is not unusual. So if that's the case, I'm just going to suggest that you make sure that you've got a drink, whether it be a cup of tea or a glass of water or anything handy. Make sure you've got a chair handy if you might need one, and that you are quite comfortable. And I want some music on in the background, and we'll start the set. So you'll just see come towards your screen and then move away. So I'm just going to do that now. You'll see my large glasses go on. Get the mouse to work and we'll be all right. Okay, so if you're ready, we're going to start in our hip width to allow our knees to soften, shoulders to relax. We're going to turn the palms backwards so they face the back of the room, if you like. And to begin with, we're all just going to breathe. Close your eyes if you can. You're going to breathe in. When you are ready to breathe out, just allow the knees to soften however you do it. When you're ready to breathe in, just gently allow the upper body to lift. When you're ready to breathe out, soften the knees. We all find our own body's rhythm. As we allow the body and the breath, the movement of the legs and the breath to work together and start this process of relaxing. When you feel ready, you're going to bring the arms into it. As we breathe in, we let the wrists float forward. As we breathe out, we let them float back. How big the movement, how small, doesn't matter. The breath and the body working in harmony. And as we relax into the movement, our muscles, our tendons start to relax. Our joints start to relax. And we open our energy gates. The Chinese call our joints our energy gates. And we allow our inner energy, the Qi, to flow without restriction. Doesn't matter how big, how small, doesn't matter how fast, how slow. But whatever speed you're moving, just do 2 more. And as you finish, let your arms relax at your sides. You might want to move your feet. You might want to take a break and sit down. The next movement is also in our hip width, and it starts the same way. Breathe in, we let the wrists float forward, but now we rotate the arms as though we're bringing them around a large ball. As we breathe out, we rotate them back again. And repeat that for yourself at your own speed. This movement's called opening the treasure chest. treasure chest being your energy centers, the treasure being the chi, the energy which is contained in there. Again, how big the movement, how small, doesn't matter. Turn slightly so you can see the movement from the front. In your own time, your own pace, just do 2 more. And as you finish, move your feet if you like to do. Stay, take a break, sit down if you need to do for a while. Now the next movement is in our leopard stance or our side-to-side stance. But before we do that, we're going to just raise our arms slightly. And the best way I find to do this is to bring your palms towards each other. Tuck your elbows in and let the hands come up the middle. And we take them to a height that you are happy with, not me, what you can do. If you can hold your hands at that position for half an hour, then that's the right place. And when we get there, just allow the hands to open as though we're holding a ball. And we're going to go slightly off center to whichever side. And as we allow the knees to soften, it's the opposite arm that opens. Breathe in as we come back into the center and hold the ball again. And then we do the same to the opposite side. Painting a rainbow. So your fingers are paintbrushes, dipped in different coloured paints. Each arm, each hand creating half a rainbow in the air in front of you. You might want to turn your head and look over the palm. See if you can see the pot of gold. So when you come back to the middle, just do 1 more to each side. Stop if you're tired. And when you come back to the center, we're just going to let the arms float down all the way back to your sides again. This time you might want to shake your arms a little, particularly if you perhaps lifted them a little too high. You might want to move your feet. And then we come back into our hip width again. And we turn the palms to face the back. And then if you can, we'll just angle the back of the hands inwards a little. And once again, as we breathe in, we let the wrists float forward. Any further, flex the wrists, and then we move them outwards as we part the clouds and let them float back to your sides. And repeat that, your own speed, your own size. movements are effortless, relaxed, with parting clouds. To move that mist without getting through it. It's relaxed, effortless, gently moving it to the side, letting the sunshine back in. So it doesn't matter how big, it doesn't matter how fast, it doesn't matter how small or how slow. Whatever speed you're moving, whatever size, just do 2 more in your own time. And again, as you finish, let your arms relax, give them a shake if you need to do. Move around or take a break if you want to do. Now the next movement is also in our hip width. And this time we bring the arms in front, palms facing upwards. And we try and use the whole of our arms. We're going to hold one still. As we breathe in, we let the other slide out to the side. At the end of your breath, we turn the hand over. As we breathe out, we bring it back towards the center, back to where it started. And do the same to the other side. And just continue that at your own speed. Sometimes I imagine I have a ball of energy in my hands, and I stretch it out. I compress it as they come together, stretch it the other way. Sometimes if you do that, you may feel tingling, heat, even a resistance as one palm comes towards the other. You may prefer just to enjoy the flow of the arms just floating out and back again. So at your own pace, just do one more in each direction. And as you finish, let your arms relax. As always, you move around. Come again. We're going to stay in our hip width stance. This time, we're going to turn the palms to face the front. And if you can, just allow your fingers just to lengthen, to straighten a little. Now as we breathe in, imagine your fingertips are being drawn out to the side. And they will go up as well as out. When they don't want to go any further, we bring them to the front. And let them float all the way back down to your sides. When you're ready, just repeat that. You're rowing a boat on a still, silent lake. You're rowing with the same effortless movements as when you parted the clouds. Your oars are not making a sound as they dip into the water. You're not leaving a ripple behind on the surface of the lake. We all move over the lake in different directions, different speeds. But none of us break the silence or disturb the stillness. If you can, we'll just do 2 more. If your arms are tired, stop. And once again, as you finish, just let your arms relax, give them a shake if you want to do, or as always, move your feet if you'd like to do. So the next movements are in the leopard stance, the side to side stance if you like. So we start by just gently flexing the wrists, not forcing them, just gently flexing. We're going to go slightly off center. And as we allow the knees to relax, it's the opposite arm. We're going to let float forward, turning it as we do, so the palm faces up. As we come back to the center, lower the arm. Same to the other side. It's called balancing a ball on your palm. Now if you can, as we breathe, we float the arm forward, we breathe in. And as we float it back, we breathe out. If that feels difficult or doesn't feel right for you, breathe as you need to do. The arms, the lower body moving in different directions. Now, we all do move at different speeds. at size movements. So if you can, we're going to keep the movement of the legs going, the lower body if you like. The next time you come back to the center, we're going to use two hands and hold a ball. And as we take the weight fractionally to one side, we'll let the ball float in that direction. Come back to the center, it comes back down again, and we'll go the other way. This is gathering the lunar harvest. Same breathing if you can. Same idea of the lower body, the arms moving in different directions. You may know this as gazing at the moon. You might need to look up or look through your hands at the imaginary moon. Careful if that involves looking into a light. And remember, the moon starts on the horizon, finishes on the horizon. It can be any height in between. So in your own time, your own speed, next time you come back to the center, do one more to each side. And as you finish, let your arms relax. By all means, move your feet. Now, whether you know it or not, we've been taking our energy from one side to the other. We're now going to come back into the center. We're going to come back into our middle, if you like. So we come back into the hip width. And we're going to put one hand towards the center line of your body. It doesn't have to be in the center line. You just don't put any tension in your shoulders. Just somewhere between here and here. And the other hand just gently flexed at your hip. And all we do is breathe in. As we breathe out, keep the hands where they are. When you're ready to breathe in, you change the hands over. Same thing. Turn sideways so you can see where my hands are. We're calming, grounding, centering. It's the first part of a more complex movement in which we send our energy down our arm, out through the palm to resist the pressure. Before we can do that, we need to do this. So we're going to do one more with each arm, with each hand. And as you finish, when you're ready, we're going to bring one hand into that same sort of position, but this time the palm facing you. And the other hand nice and relaxed below. It doesn't have to be below the top hand, it's wherever it feels comfortable for you. It might be here, it might be here, it doesn't matter. So we start with an in-breath. As we breathe out, we turn from the waist. At the end of your turn, change the hands. Turn the other way. This is cloud hands. You might want to imagine, as we change the hands over, we're creating a cloud between them. And as we turn, gently sending it off to drift across the horizon. And we create another one. Send it in the opposite direction. How big, how fast, how slow, don't worry about it. Keep the movements as relaxed, as effortless as you can. We usually breathe in as we change the hands, breathe out as we turn, but you may need to breathe differently. Now in your own time, your own speed, just do one more in each direction. And as you finish, once again allow your arms to relax. If you need to have a drink, have a drink. If you need to sit down for a while, sit down. The next movements are in our forward and back stances, so if you're sitting, you might want to do the arm movements. If you're standing, when you're ready, we bring one foot forward, nice comfortable walking pace, and then start in the middle. And we're going to bring our arms forward, palms up. Allow the front knee just to move over the foot, however you do it. As we breathe in, we come back into the center. Perhaps allow the back knee to soften. And then we open the hands as we move forward. Allow them to drift down, to scoop the sea. And we gaze at the horizon. As if you're standing in a shallow, calm, warm bay. The water almost up to the top of your legs. Just scoop it from the surface. Hold it in our hands, in our palms. As we let go, we're looking into the distance. Perhaps at the palm trees. How big, how fast, as always, doesn't matter. So we'll just do 2 more. And as you finish your second movement, you're going to carefully change legs. And when you're settled, when you're ready, this time we start either in the middle or in our backward stance. And we gently flex the wrists. And we move forward into our forward stance. Then relax the wrists. Imagine your hands floating over the top of a wave as we come back through the center, perhaps letting the back knee soften. And we flex again as we move forward. Pushing underneath the waves and floating back over the top. Your speed, your rhythm. In your own time, just do 2 more. And as you finish your second movement, carefully change legs again. And again, this time we're going to start in our backward stance or in the middle if you need to. We bring our arms around a large ball again. Now as we move forward, we allow the arms to open. And as we come back, come around the ball again. The wild dove is spreading its wings, gathering in all the energy around you, drawing it into your energy centers, your dantian. We draw in qi from the air we breathe, from the food we eat. We strengthen it with our Qigong. As we breathe in, we're drawing in our energy, drawing in the qi. So we're going to do 2 more on this leg, and then if you can, we'll change legs and continue the movement on the other leg. If you're tired, just stop and take a break. Change legs carefully. When you're ready, continue the movement. It's about restoring, replenishing, replacing what you've used, strengthening what's there. So in your own time, your own pace, just do 2 more. And as you finish your second movement, we're going to come back into our hip width carefully. And when you're ready, we're going to form 2 of our empty Tai Chi fists. Let your arms relax by your sides. And then we just bend the elbows so they're nice and comfortable. And we breathe in. As we breathe out, we're going to let one fist rotate. That will draw the arm forward. Breathe in as we rotate it back. And then do the same on the other side. Sending that energy we've just gathered in right down into our fingertips. Charging the fists with energy. But we also send it right down into the toes. Around all the energy channels of the body. Flooding them with fresh, revitalized chi. In your own time, let's do 1 more to each side. And as you finish, just allow your arms to relax at your sides. As always, move your feet if you'd like to do. Now, we're staying in our hip width for the next movement. And this time, turn the palms inwards, facing the outside of your legs, or if you're sitting, the outside of your chair. Now, as we breathe in, imagine that that energy we've just sent around the body is expanding like a balloon, filling with air. And as that happens, your arms are moved outwards. And as you breathe out, the air comes out of the balloon, the energy contracts. Close your eyes if you wish. Allow your breath to decide how big, how small, how fast, how slow. It's called the flying wild goose. Bird that flies so high when it migrates, it rides on the air currents, only occasionally moving its wings to stay on course. Breathe in and your wings will lift. Breathe out, will float back down again. How far, how fast, doesn't matter. In your own time, just do 2 more. And as you finish, relax your arms. Move your feet if you want to do. we're going to stay in this hip width. We're going to do 2 circles in each direction of the rotating flywheel. This imaginary tracing of a clock face from 6 to 12 and back down again. As big or as small a clock face as you like, but we'll try and do it as slowly as we can. So when you're ready, breathe in to begin with as we move from 6 up towards 12, and then breathe as you need to do. Remember, make it as small as you need to do. If your arms are tired, stop. When you've done 2, just pause at the bottom and let everything settle for a moment. And when you're ready, go in the opposite direction. Your pace, your size. And when you finish, just allow your arms to relax, and when you're ready, the next movement is in our side-to-side stance, our leopard stance. And again, we turn arms backwards. So we're going to go slightly off center, it doesn't matter which way. And as we let the knees soften, just let one arm, whichever you choose, float forward. Might be the same arm as the leg or the opposite arm. Come back to the center as we lower the arm. And same the other side. Again, if you can, we breathe in as we float the wrist forward. Breathe out as we float it back. This is bouncing a ball. Bouncing it from one hand onto the floor, catching it with the other, bouncing it back again. Filling one side, emptying the other. Legs and arms moving in opposite directions. Everything opposite. Balancing the yin and yang within us. So in your own time, just do one more to each side. And as you finish, we come back into our hip width. And we bring our arms in front, palms up, fingertips towards each other. Might be here, doesn't matter. Breathe in, come around the front of this ball. And as we breathe out, we let the hands turn as we gently guide the ball down. And repeat that at your own pace. This is balancing the chi. And you're balancing your chi, your speed, your rhythm. Your breath. And whatever that breath is, whatever that rhythm is, just do 2 more. And as you finish, just allow your hands to come onto your lower dantian, this area just below your navel, this energy center, side by side, one on top of another, whichever way around. And if you need to, particularly if you're sitting, put them on your legs. Just for a few moments, I'm going to allow everything to settle. Close your eyes if you wish. Allow your body to relax as much as it can. And relax your arms. Open your eyes if they're closed. If you're sitting, leave your feet where they are. If you're standing, very carefully bring our ankles together. And we finish the session as we started, bringing our left arm palm up, our right arm palm down. Join them together. And we carefully come back into your hip width. And as always, take your time, move slowly. Thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you again on this internet at some stage. Thank you all very much. I hope you feel a little bit more relaxed than when we first came into the session. Thank you. So I'm going to walk towards your screen now. Say goodbye to you all. I'm going to turn end the meeting, I believe they call it.